mathematically we're still in it, but of course it's going to be a tough one. And if you're just expecting the Super Eagles to just switch and then win their remaining six matches, glory be to God. Football doesn't just work like that. Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're watching or listening to us from. This is the Naija FC Podcast. As always, I'm your host, AyoT, and I have with me my reliable co-host.
Smith Layi, thanks for joining. You welcome back.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much for joining us, guys. We really appreciate it. We have another fantastic episode for you that's coming up. But before we get into it, let's address the elephant in the room. You know, where have we been? Where have the episodes been? You know, the Super Eagles played. We should have talked about we should have previewed the matches. You know, and I will take full accountability. I will raise my hand and say it was my fault. If you are watching this, you can probably even see it on my face. I haven't been doing too well for the past few weeks. So every time I would think, okay, I have the energy to record, one thing or the other would just put me down again and I wouldn't be able to record. But by the grace of God, we're recording today and, hopefully we never have to take another pause, even if for a couple weeks, even if it's for 1 week, we don't want to have to pause. But yes, thank you for everyone that checked in. I saw a couple messages on YouTube, on Instagram. People were sending DMs. How can Super Eagles play and we're not hearing from you? I appreciate it. So yes, that's just to clear that up, so that you people don't keep asking questions. But I'm alive. I'm alive. Um, so yes, Smith, like, good to be back. Good to be back.
Yes, yes, well, you to be back, back and back, we're back and we're better, That's actually the most important thing. I want to say sincere apologies to all of you that waiting for us for the preview because I know my South African friends, they'll be waiting for the preview of the game between,
Mm.
that game
And
between
we've
Nigeria
been
and South.
and we've been hyping that preview, Sha. Yeah. Let's get into the program for the day. For anyone that doesn't know, I mean, we could have been coming into this on a much happier note. But let's take it as we've given you guys enough time to process before we
Mm-hmm.
bring you this episode. But yes, of course, we had the World Cup qualifiers for June that have been played. Two matches. First one against who did we play in the first one again? My brain don't freeze.
South Africa.
The first one, yes, against South Africa, and then the second one against Benin Republic. Of course, these games are games that have been talked about for months now. Immediately after the AFCON, we switched to World Cup qualifier mode. Everybody knows how important these games were for the Super Eagles, for Nigerians, for the fans. And there were games that everybody said we had to win, and unfortunately, we couldn't win any of the two games. I mean, first game we played a 1-1 draw against South Africa. And then in the second game, we go and fall to a 2-1 defeat against Benin Republic. A team that I'm sure a lot of fans would not even imagine should be having a chance to defeat Nigeria. But it is what happened. Smithlai, I don't know if you want to give us a run through of the matches, your thoughts on the game, but yeah, um, 1 point out of a possible six in these two June qualifiers. What did you think of the games?
I think it's just a very poor FIFA window, Nigerian standard. Imagine you scoring 1 out of 6 is a fail, even scoring, even 2 draws out of 6 too is also a failure. But where Nigeria is now in a very deep problem, I can tell you that one for free. Right from the first game against Africa, I knew that something was wrong with that team. Even against Mali, I told you earlier that if this team continue with this approach against Mali, I think that the South Africa game will be very difficult for us. And the
Yeah,
funniest thing is that South Africa, they came to Nigeria with a similar approach to what they did during AFCON. And the coach that was assistant to the guy during AFCON sat on the bench, observed what the South African did. He couldn't do anything in the game, and I looked at the way a simple ball. They cut us open times and times again. I was so disappointed. So we were lucky to draw that game. We drew 1-1, and that was our best result in that window. We went to go and meet our former coach, Gennett Raw, on a neutral ground, not in his own ground, on a neutral ground in Ivory Coast. A stadium that we've won games during AFCON, a
Mm,
stadium that we actually were familiar with. We
yeah.
went there, and after scoring first, the team capitulated, and we considered. In fact, what even makes me so upset is that when it came out in the second half, there was no fight, there was no desire. It was the same thing over and over, and we lost that game. When I saw the second game that they scored against Nigeria, Benin Republic, it was similar. A tactical It was similar to the goal that Mikel scored against Cameroon under Genetro. That means that Genetro worked on that goal practically with what? With Benin Republic. The same he did for Nigeria. Just to paint it in our face that we are missing something. It's sad that the whole thing ended. Now Nigeria is on 3 points in 4 games. They have never been, to set the record straight, they have never been a World Cup qualifier that Nigeria failed to win our first 2 games. Our first 2 games. This is the first time since independence.
Hmm. Nigeria, we healthy. Um, but yeah, I'll say first one. The first game against South Africa. One thing that I noticed was that the team is still trying to find itself. Especially under Coach Finidi George, still trying to find itself. In the beginning of that game against South Africa, they tried to be a high pressing team. They were trying to be a team that's going to put you under pressure, put pressure on the defenders. But of course, Victor Osimhen wasn't in that game, so it's not the same kind of energy that is coming up front. And then I noticed that like after like the first 12, 13 to 15 minutes, the players were tired, and you see that the pressing reduced. Now, South Africa, because, with all due and credit to them, because they have players who have technical ability. So
Mm-hmm.
even though we were high pressing them, sometimes they can pass the ball around the press, sometimes they might lose possession, but they were able to control the situation for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
And they grew into the game gradually. They grew into the game. They were more than happy to play on the counter attack against us, to allow us to have the ball, allow us to have the lion's share of possession and play on the counter. And I've said this thing many times in different videos, um, on different live streams, about just the trend of Nigerian football, Super Eagles, or let me not say Nigerian football, the trend of Super Eagles matches in recent times. We control the game, we have the ball, we control possession, and then we concede a goal. And then maybe we now manage to salvage one back. And then that's where the game ends. The way that game was going, I could almost just tell. South Africa would probably score, and then Nigeria would equalize, and then the game will end 1-1. And that's what happened. Um, for the goal that we considered in that game, I mean, I felt like it was weak defending by Wilfred Ndidi. I think he could have done better to protect the defense there. But nevertheless, South Africa scored the goal. They started the second half with more ginger, with more vibrance, more energy. Good goal by Dele Bashiru. Happy for him. But eventually, we tried and tried, we huffed and puffed, but nothing really came out of it. Some people will say, oh, that there were some clear cut opportunities, or maybe not clear cuts, but some very good opportunities that we had that should have been taken. But I mean, I think there definitely should have been a red card on South Africa for the foul on Dele Bashir um, in that second half. But unfortunately, no VAR, so there's nothing that we could do about it. 1-1, at that time, immediately after the game, sorry again for you guys for not bringing an episode immediately after the game, but thoughts then would have been more so like, okay, not the best results, but in South Africa, it was always something that was a possibility. let's now go to the game against Benin Republic and see how we can beat these guys, and then come to the game against Benin Republic. Now we're playing against a team that is doing well in the group already, at least for the group standards, you know. And then we're also playing against a team that has many Nigerian quote unquote players on their team, and then they have the former head coach General, who we know that his sack was one that was, hotly debated. A lot of people were against it, a lot of people were for it. And then of course we go into this game, I felt like it was another casual start to the match. The players were not playing with too much intensity. They didn't look like they really, really, really wanted it. And maybe it's a thing of the way modern day football is played, whereby keep possession, keep possession, keep possession, wait for the openings to come, and you can, find your chance. But for us, we keep possession, keep possession. The opening doesn't usually come that much. Um, Lookman looking a little bit threatening. I'll give credit to him. In the first half, I liked the way the midfield was connecting with the attack in that game. Honestly, Onyedika doing very simple things on the ball, but moving the ball along to Iwobi to Lookman, or Iwobi to Murphy. I thought they were combining quite well midfield to attack, which is not something that we usually do too well in most of our matches. But um, I mean, it wasn't quite happening for us, and then eventually you find the breakthrough. I think it was in the 27th or 28th minute, Rafael Luedica, a player that is not necessarily someone that is known for his goal scoring, but he was able to find the back of the net, and it looked like, okay, we're playing against Benin Republic, Super Eagles. At that time you would think they're just going to coast and cruise to this win. But it wasn't to be like that. Unfortunately, our attack, the communication just continued to look poor between our players. It just did not really, really look like we were, um, how to say, a team for the most part of that game, my opinion. The coach tried to salvage it quickly, brought on Terry Murphy, rather brought on Victor Boniface for Terry Murphy, brought on Paul Onuachu, brought on Olawoyin, tough conditions for Olawoyin to come on and make his debut. But, congratulations to him for that. Brought on Ismaila Sadiq. Smith Layi, I heard what you were saying about Sadiq bending. I won't get into him so much. But the substitutes, honestly, they did almost nothing when they came on. They were not really able to change the game at all. And at that time, Benin Republic know that they just have to hang on for their lives. They get a very crucial win, a win that sends them, or at least sends them temporarily top of the group. And it keeps their hopes alive of qualifying for the World Cup. They are joint top. They are third. Well, they're not joint top. They are third on goal difference behind Rwanda and South Africa. And unfortunately, the Super Eagles, we find ourselves in fifth place with 3 points after 4 games played. Somebody was asking me, "IoT, does this mean that we're not going to the World Cup?" No, it does. It doesn't mean that technically, mathematically, we can still qualify. It's 4 points. Technically, it's one game and one draw, but it's only 6 games left. The way we are playing, I think we need Jose Pesero to come and switch it up, like the way he switched it up at the AFCON, because unless a drastic switch up happens, and again, I don't want to get into a debate, but see, people that did not give Jose Pesero credit for the job that he did at that AFCON continue to see that he realized what needed to be done. He realized what needed to be done. He did it. Unfortunately, he lost in the final because he didn't win that final. A lot of people turned on him. You know, now we see how we are wishing we could actually keep a clean sheet against Benin Republic, but we
Mm-hmm.
can't. Um, but yeah, mathematically we're still in it, but of course it's going to be a tough one. And if you're just expecting the Super Eagles to just switch and then win their remaining six matches. Glory be to God. Football doesn't just work like that. But it is not over. I will say that it is not over. Um, so yeah, that is it. I've given you my extensive thoughts on the game, or
Hmm.
rather on the games. And I'll be so pained if we don't qualify for the World Cup. But let's see what
Yeah.
happens. Smith Layi, so at this point, out of 10, on a scale of 1 to 10, what do you give us as our chance of still qualifying for this World Cup?
Yeah. So thank you, Fashiwas, for thank you for that question. Let me just say something. Nigeria is part of teams in the World Cup qualifier that now won a game. And we're in the company of Djibouti. We're in the company of Mauritania, South Sudan. We're in the company of Togo, in the company of Zimbabwe, in the company of Eswatini. These are the countries that Nigeria in the company of. In the company of Congo, in the company of Seychelles, in the company of Somalia, in the company of Sao Tome and Principe, in the company of Chad. Those are the company that we are in. And it's so sad. A team that finished second during
Mm,
AFCON. Just he gave you this job for 4 games and it turned like this. It's so sad. Go back to the question you asked me. For me, if you ask me very well before this competition, before this FIFA window, this is the
mm,
result I wished for. But I will wish for 2 draws instead.
mm,
Because I knew that if this man continue with this job, we'll not qualify for the World Cup. So it's better for us to change him now. And let me tell you something. In history, this is the time we used to change our coach. Before September, around May, June. This is the time. We change them. When we change them, they can bring something different. So I knew that even if we win South Africa, draw against Benin or things like that, at the long run, I knew that we will not qualify.
mm,
But now it's better that things change now. So I'm happy. In the scale, I will tell you something now, you'll be surprised. In the scale of 1 to 10, like I'm on a 7 now. But when Finidi was there, it was on a 5.
mm. So, despite us being fifth right now,
Yes.
4 points behind the
Yes.
leaders, you
Yes.
think it's still a 7 out of 10 chance of qualifying?
We will qualify for the World Cup. Write it down.
You said we will qualify.
Yes. We will win the
Okay,
Mundial.
okay. Let's see. I like Smith
Yes.
Layi and his bold predictions.
Yes.
For me, honestly, right now, I think we have a 6 out of 10 chance. And I'll be very honest, the only way to say it is the reason why I think we have a 6 out of 10 chance is because I'm disrespecting the other teams in our group. I'll be honest with you, that's the only way to put it.
Have they given you something to respect them?
Well, they
They
haven't.
also see in the
But
whole of the
neither,
group.
but neither, but neither have we.
Yeah.
Neither have we. That's the thing.
If you check the record, in the whole of the group, the most unserious set of teams, they are in our group.
Yes.
They are just
And
wearing.
that's the reason why I'm saying, okay, yes, I don't respect those guys. The way we are fumbling, this self will still fumble and we can qualify. But who is to say that we are going to switch up our own form and we are
Mm-hmm.
all of a sudden now going to start winning our games? If they keep being unserious the way they've been unserious, and we keep being unserious the way we've been unserious, then nothing changes. You will see somebody will qualify from the group with 10 points. So yeah,
Yeah,
so
yeah, yeah. I, I agree with you, but I just think that no team in this our group, I think, is capable of going, except Nigeria, and going on a 6 games winning streak. I don't
so
think
you
so.
still you still think this team, Super Eagles, you still
Mhm.
think they are capable of going on a 6 game winning streak?
We just did 5 games winning streak.
That was in the AFCON, playing defensive under Jose
If
Pesero.
if we like, we should play defensive here. For me, I think that we're capable of getting results in the new Amahoro Stadium in Kigali in March. And I
Mm,
think that against Zimbabwe at home, we speak to some of our people against Zimbabwe at home. I
mm,
think we're going to get a result. I think that 6 points in that game can put Nigeria on the right track with a new coach, not
mm.
with this team, not with this current coach that's just been relieved here.
Okay, I mean we have to wait and see. We have to
Mhm.
wait and see.
And IoT, just one more this thing. And also, we have a game. We have 6 games in September. So the new coach will be able to use those 6 games as like a friendly preparatory game
Mm,
before the match qualifiers. So it's a plus for Nigeria. It's a win-win.
mm. Okay, let's see how it goes. I mean, of course, unfortunately, we are disappointed with the situation as it is. But still, football is a very interesting game in the sense that you never know how it's going to happen. Um, but yes, it's Group C, the unserious group. Super Eagles currently fifth in that group. Um, so yeah, Smith, like anything else that you want to touch on that you think we should cover on this one?
So I just also think that what's it called? I think that some of our players too must also try and show commitment. Fight. This is a World Cup. I think that he got to a stage that you see some players working on the pitch. Towards the end of the game against South Africa. I saw the way two of our players were working. On the pitch against South Africa. When they scored that goal. It shouldn't be like that. It's a World Cup. And I think that if we did not qualify this time around, I think players like Victor Osimhen, players like Lukman might not have the opportunity to play at the Mundial. So it's just good for us to break the best leg. And let me just touch on the players that made their debut quickly before we move on. So players like Ibrahim or Olawoyi, actually what is it? Olawoyi made his debut,
Olawoyin.
and
Mm.
people are saying that he should not come back again. See, it's
Nigerians are so harsh.
they were clamoring for him before, but now that he don't come, now it doesn't mean he don't come back again. Why? See, the issue is this. I said it earlier. I told you before that Super Ego is big. If you have not gained some certain experience somewhere, it might be hard for you to fit in. I well done to Sadly Bashiru for coming in. Don't forget this guy has played. I know the Academy Stadium in Manchester here that he played. That's played in those youth leagues and every that his experience is trained with the big boys, in this football, all the Bruno of this world, he's trained with them on the same pitch with Guardiola, he's played against one of the big boys in England. So he knows, so he settled well for me. But Ibrahim Olawoyi, I think there's a reason why Fili did not play him in the first game self. Maybe because of ability too. But based on what I saw in the Benin Republic game, I don't think he really covered himself in glory, in my own opinion. It
Mm.
was just as if he's an apprentice. He was just running, so he didn't show well. And also to Sadiq Bending, like I said it before, that you when they give you a chance to cross, you cross. But this, to tell you that the level of the MPFL is different from some of the top leagues in Europe. You cannot compare them. I said it earlier. So because Sadiq Bending did not bend the ball that day does not mean that he's a truly poor player. But what it tells us that is that his level is not Super Eagles level.
Mm.
So maybe he can play for the Chan team or for the underage, but not Super Eagles level. So for me, I also think that he should not be called up for a crucial game. He should not be called up again. And also, there's some players too, what like Benjamin Tiaminu. Somebody said that anytime he saw Tiaminu handle the ball, his blood pressure is always going up. I said no, no, no. The issue is that Tiaminu plays in a very low, small club in Tanzania. You know, I don't know how we got into this. That a player from Tanzania, league. I know, a small club in Tanzanian league, not even Yanga, not even Simba. A small club in Tanzanian league is playing for the Super Eagles of Nigeria. I saw a Tanzanian forum there. You just laugh and say, "How come we invited this player to the
Mm.
national team?" They should be level. a national team, in my own opinion. They should be level as a national team. So I think those players they brought in did not really do well. And they were just too below those that played on AFCON, in my opinion. So the new coach, I think, will think differently and try to bring those that merit to be in the national team to be there. So being home based should not be a privilege. You must earn it.
Very well said. Very well said. And it's going to be interesting to see how things shape up going forward. Are they going to keep on inviting these home based players? Are they going to keep on trusting them? Are they going to just stick to the foreign based? Even the foreign based, which of them do they invite? Considering what you were saying about Olanwoyin's performance. Um, Super Eagles are in a real mess right now, but let's see. Let us see what happens. You guys should definitely let us know your thoughts. What do you think is now our chance of qualifying for the World Cup? Smith Layi says we'll qualify. I say we'll have a 6/10 chance. What do you guys say? Let us know in the comments below. And then, of course, let us know what you thought of debutants. Is there anybody that impressed you at all? Is there anybody that disappointed you? Feel free to engage with us in the comments and we will respond and engage with you as well. Um, Other than that, I think we can call it an episode. Um, we promise the next one will not come long after this. But yes, we appreciate your patience. We appreciate everybody for sticking with us. We appreciate everybody that even bothers to take, even if it's 1 minute every day, to send a message to say how far, when is the next episode coming out. Thank you very much, guys. As always, my name is AyoT. My co-host is,
Smith Layi, thanks for joining.
and this is the Naija FC podcast. Bye bye.